tonight. Osbc tasked state assemblies over local government autonomy. Federal government to sanction MDAs over recruitment process. While on the foreign scene, UN decries non-accessibility of aid to people in war-torn Tigray. Good evening, and we're glad to have you join us on the major report. I am Olupumi Ajiboye Agbola. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called on state houses of assembly to speedily ratify the bill seeking total autonomy and devolution of powers to the local government areas in the country. The Vice President made the call while delivering the distinguished annual lecture of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru, near Jos Plateau State. Osinbajo, who was represented by the Minister of Labor and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, said that local authorities play key roles towards nation building, but lamented that the third tier of government had over time been neglected and undervalued. He maintained that the ongoing constitutional amendment seeking to allocate more powers to the local government is a step in the right direction. The Vice President argued that local government fiscal autonomy will promote peace and security in the country, adding that the people in rural communities understand their terrain better and know how to deploy resources towards tackling security challenges. Meanwhile, a legal expert, Mr. Awoni Yalabi, has alleged that many governors often violate the Constitution, particularly on issues concerning the local government funds. Mr. Alabi said this while reacting to the recent comment by President Muhammadu Buhari, alleging that state governments are siphoning the funds of the local government. According to the lawyer, what the Constitution says is that the state should oversee the adequate distribution of local government funds among the local councils and not to take from the money meant for the development of the grassroots. He speaks for them.
The Constitution itself has spelled it out that the funds for the local government should come to the state level for distribution to local government. It is because the people who are governing are not ready to operate correctly that provision of the Constitution. That's why they had to be fighting for local government autonomy. Local government is autonomous in the Constitution.
Mr. Alabi further recommended reduction in the entitlement of political office holders.
Do this because money comes from the federal level. At the state level, they don't think out of box how to generate money. Maybe by the time that one is imposed, it will be, you will see they will not say they are more interested. If there is no money from federal government, what would they be fighting them for? So it is the people that must be intentional in breaking the yokes of slavery. And apart from that, if the emolument of political office holders are drastically reduced, maybe they should just be taking sitting allowances. You know, all these problems will be a thing of the past.
The Electoral Commission has declared that the collection of permanent voter cards will commence on the 12th December 2022. The electoral body made this declaration in a statement made available to newsmen by the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye. According to the statement, the Commission has also resolved to devolve PVC collection to the 8,809 registration areas and wards across the country. Okoye noted that the decision was sequel to a recent retreat in Lagos State, where the procedure as well as the timetable for the collection of the PVCs were unveiled. It further indicated that the development follows the activities of suspected arsonists who are on rampage, setting the Commission's facility ablaze in Southeast and other parts of the country. Osun State Election Petition Tribunal has adjourned sitting till the 28th of this month as the petitioners' councils closed their cases for the respondents to defend the allegations challenging the credibility of the last state governorship polls. The petitioner called two witnesses to close their cases and submitted to the court the original credentials which Governor Ademola Adeleke filed at INEC office to contest the 2018 governorship poll. Osbc judicial correspondent Adeboye Popola now reports.
Oyetola and his political party, all the petitioners at the tribunal, Mr. Adeboye Oyetola and his political party, All Progressives Congress, whose councils represented at the tribunal formally closed their cases at today's sitting of the tribunal. This is sequel to the compliance by INEC headquarters Abuja to court's directive to produce the credential that Governor Ademola Adeleke filed at INEC office to contest the 2018 governorship poll. All the respondents' counsel defer their objections to the admissibility of Senator Ademola Adeleke's credentials to their respective final addresses in line with the practice direction of the tribunal. Earlier, Governor Adeboye Oyetola's counsel, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi-San, had reported to the tribunal that the judgment of the lower court, which invalidated the candidacy of his clients in the last election, has been overturned by the Court of Appeal. However, counsel for PDP and Governor Ademola Adeleke noted that the victory of APC candidate is premature, since the judgment of the appeal court will be contested at the Supreme Court. Counsels for the respondents and petitioners reacted to today's court proceedings. Honorable Niyi Owolade, who appeared for Governor Ademola Adeleke, noted that his client case is well fortified.
All the drama, what eventually happened was that the Form CF-001 with attachment, which had been called for, which some kinds of people have been saying all kinds of things, were deposited in the court and they rested their case without no further witness.
Mr. Eson, a lawyer from APC legal team, also reacted this way.
We're happy that they comply with that order by bringing the entire file containing those documents. It will appear that on looking at the file today, legible copies of those documents we have found therein. So we have, on our own part, we have tendered those documents, as you can see, hoping that we'll make use of it.
Adeboye Popola, Osbc News.
As Osun State government, under the leadership of Senator Ademola Adeleke and his predecessor, former Governor Boyega Oyetola, trade blames on the alleged looting of government property and pilfering of movable items in the official quarters. A fact-finding visit to the government house by Osbc revealed that the quarters are in shambles. Governor's office correspondent Abdul Rahim Adikulukun has more.
Sequel to accusations and counter-accusations between the ruling People's Democratic Party and the immediate past All Progressives Congress government, led by the former Governor Adeboye Oyetola over the state of affairs of the government properties, that the PDP administration, being led by Senator Ademola Adeleke, alleged that are looted. Osun State Broadcasting Corporation went to the official quarters of the governor, where shocking revelations were uncovered. A visit to the kitchen of the governor's apartment revealed that all the kitchen utensils have been carted away by the past administration. All the plates, cutleries, and other utensils could not be found, as the stainless kitchen shelves were empty. Osbc News also found that some items like freezers were removed, while 2 cookers, 2 refrigerators, 1 fryer, a blender suspected to be non-functional, as well as a half pack of serviette paper were left behind. The first aid box in the kitchen only contained empty bottles of methylated spirits, empty sachet of paracetamol, and a dispensed nylon of cotton wool. At the presidential lodge of the government house, our investigation revealed that a flat-screen TV mounted on the wall and a small fridge were missing in the room downstairs, while one of the fridges in the 3 rooms that are upstairs, as well as bedspreads, were nowhere to be found. The situation was more deplorable in the official quarters of the chief security officer to the former governor, as the 5-bedroom apartment was empty with no furniture, kitchen utensils, beddings, electronics and other appliances. There was also a sign of removal of a split air conditioner in the sitting room. There were, however, some window AC that were suspected to be non-functional or old-fashioned to be removed. At the quarters of the ADC to the former governor, Osbc news crew gathered that some items that have been carted away have been returned. Among those items returned are flat-screen TV, pair of split AC, and a set of chairs which were parked outside. Reacting to this development, spokesperson to Osun State Governor Malam Olawale Rashid described the development as heart-rendering.
I don't know what people, the level of crave about materialism that will lead to looting fridge after governing a state for 4 years. But the good thing we can tell the people of Osun State is that there's an asset recovery panel that is working. All those who are responsible for the looting will have their day. They will be held accountable. Those things will be tracked, and all those that are responsible will be brought to book.
It has been Abdurrahim Adekliku reporting.
Settling gender-based cases out of court is one factor that encourages the continued commission of the crime, as the perpetrators are usually emboldened to indulge in the act. A female activist, Citizen Lolawe, who dropped the ink after speaking on OSB Television Current Affairs program Saturday Morning Trade, said that all gender-based cases are state cases which should not be allowed to be swept under the carpet. According to Lolawe, prevention is better than cure, condemning the belief that a type of dressing or behavior can instigate abuse of a female child in the society. She speaks further.
Based violence cases happening in the family, being managed within the family, and say no, it is a crime against the state. It is not a family issue. We have always regarded it as a family issue, and this is one of the reasons why the cases has continued to increase instead of reducing, despite the existence of laws prohibiting such acts. Prevention is better than cure, and that is why the United Nations has earmarked 16 days of activism to sensitize members of the society about the need to eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls. Nothing like a petty. But I believe that there is a lot that the family, the society, the church, the mosque, the traditional rulers can do in educating members of the society as to understand what acts constitute gender-based violence.
The federal government has threatened to sanction federal ministries, departments, and agencies that are involved in the illegal recruitment, despite the embargo placed on employment by the federal government since 2020. According to the Federal Civil Service Commission, jobs racketeering are rampant on its corridors, including the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited, Central Bank of Nigeria, and the Nigeria Customs Service, among others. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemieson, said her office has detected a total of 1,618 workers whose letters of employment were either fake or illegal in the Federal Civil Service. According to her, investigations showed that some agencies issued employment letters to job seekers which are not accredited by the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation and the Federal Civil Service Commission, while others simply replaced retired or dead officials with friends and family members. However, the replacements were done without the approval of the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation and the Federal Civil Service Commission. The Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress have urged the federal government to put an end to the fuel shortages and price hike in the country. The president of the labor union said this in a statement signed by Messrs. Ayuba Waba and Festus Osifo in Abuja. It said that the fuel shortages, price hike, and avoidable long queues in fueling stations are unacceptable and no longer tolerable. The labor leaders said that the federal government should put an end to the avoidable, unnecessary, and crippling pain-inducing fuel shortages and unapproved price hike of up to 240 naira per litre in the country. The statement said further that the labor leaders were disturbed by the persistent shortage and uncontrollable prices that players in the downstream sector of the petroleum industry were meting out to Nigerians. The statement added that organized labor is ready and willing to engage the federal government and assist in all ways possible to overcome the country's present challenges. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it will on Tuesday commence the physical inspection and auction of 649 forfeited vehicles located across 9 states and the Federal Capital Territory. According to the EFCC, the exercise will be carried out by the Commission's appointed auctioneers and other devices, noting that there would be physical and e-auction of the items which were subject of final forfeiture orders in accordance with its Establishment Act 2004, Public Procurement Act 2007, and the Proceeds of Crime in Recovery and Management Act 2022. The anti-graft agency detailed the items up for auction in each state, the dates and venues of the auction, and websites for the online viewing of those to be auctioned electronically. And moving on to sports. You are welcome to our sports segment. Disappointment as he was given his second yellow card for taking his shirt off. The indomitable Lions may be going home, but they have certainly...
Argentina forward Lionel Messi is set to make his 1,000th appearance
as the details of this and more.
To make his 1,000th appearance of his career in today's World Cup last 16 tie with Australia, he will win his 169th cap on top of 778 games for Barcelona and 53 matches for current side Paris Saint-Germain. If they lose, it could be the final time the 35-year-old plays at the World Cup. Messi has scored twice at this World Cup before seeing a penalty saved against Poland. Argentina coach Lionel Scaloni, whose side as second favorite behind Brazil to win the World Cup, has complained about his side to reduce preparation time for this game. In the meantime, Otto Addo has resigned as Ghana boss following their World Cup group stage elimination. The 47-year-old former Ghana international replaced sacked Milovan Rajvac in February, initially as interim boss, and was given a deal until the end of this month. He also has the role of talent coach at German side Borussia Dortmund. Ghana beat South Korea in between defeats by Portugal and Uruguay in Addo's final game to finish bottom of the group. Meanwhile, Vincent Abubakar was the hero as he scored the only goal which earned Cameroon a hard-fought 1-0 win against Brazil in their final group game at the Qatar 2022 World Cup. Abubakar's header in a superb cross from the right passed a stranded Henderson in stoppage time to secure Cameroon's win. However, Abubakar, who had earlier received a yellow card, got a matching order for removing his shirt. Following his dismissal, Abubakar is now the first player to score and be sent off in a World Cup match since Zinedine Zidane in the 2006 final versus Italy. Despite the win, it was not enough to see Cameroon qualify for the round of 16 as they crash out alongside Serbia while Brazil and Switzerland progressed. Also, it is the first time that Brazil will lose to an African team at the FIFA Senior Men's World Cup. Brazil had won all 7 encounters at the World Cup against African teams. Omotayo Adebodun, Osbc News.
While on the foreign scene, the World Health Organization says the United Nations still cannot get unfettered access to bring humanitarian aid into Ethiopia's Tigray 1 month after the ceasefire. Kayode Adebayo brings the details of this and more stories on the foreign scene.
The UN's health agency said that just a trickle of aid had managed to get into the northern region, which is in the grip of a humanitarian crisis after a 2-year conflict. It will be recalled that the Ethiopian government and regional forces from Tigray agreed to cease hostilities, a dramatic diplomatic breakthrough in a war that has killed thousands, displaced millions, and left hundreds of thousands facing famine. According to WHO's Emergencies Director, Dr. Mike Ryan, peace process has not yet resulted in the kinds of full access, unfettered access, and in the massive scale of medical and health assistance that the people of Tigray need. Ryan added that there were issues in the west of Tigray in areas under the control of militias and other areas controlled by Eritrean troops. Meanwhile, Ethiopia's government said that it, together with Tigrayan forces, had convened inside the Tigray region to outline disarmament plans that were also part of the peace deal signed in South Africa last month. In the meantime, the UK Health Security Agency has said 6 children have died with an invasive condition caused by Strep A, including 5 under 10-year-olds in England since September. A girl from Wales has also died with no death confirmed in Scotland and Northern Ireland. Strep A infections are normally mild, but people can become seriously ill. While still uncommon, there has been an increase in invasive Group A strep cases this year, particularly in children under 10. Infections caused by Group A strep bacterium are usually mild with symptoms like a sore throat or skin infections. The bug can also cause scarlet fever, which can, in the majority of cases, be treated successfully with antibiotics and people make a full recovery. Kayode Adebayo, Osbc News.
And the major reports tonight. Here's a recap of some of the top stories. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has tasked state assemblies over local government autonomy. We also brought a report that the federal government is ready to sanction MDAs over recruitment process. While on the foreign scene, we reported that United Nations decried non-accessibility of aid to people in war-torn Tigray of Ethiopia. And that ends the major report on Osbc TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola. Thank you for staying tuned. Good night.